Welcome back. Wherever you live in the world, you will have been subject to propaganda. The government will have told you, and the media will have reinforced it, that you must do certain things which justify the spending of your money, taxpayers' money. One of these great themes of the last decades has been save our planet. Now, all this endless effort to indoctrinate people and realise that the governments are spending their money wisely and going for low carbon footprints and so on, has missed out on an extremely unpopular truth. And this channel that I teach on YouTube, I proclaim unpopular truths. That's what I'm known for, unpopularity. In the time of Noah, God judged the earth by a global flood. His judgment came as a result of man's universal wickedness and his need to preserve on the earth a bloodline that would lead to Christ unpolluted by hybrid humanity, like the Nephalim. God's solution was to wipe out humanity except for Noah, and he promised Noah once the flood was over that he would never flood the earth again. And the rainbow is a reminder of that covenant, Genesis 9:11-13. However, generations later, in Abraham's time, God judged the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah not with a flood, but with fire. Fire and brimstone, fire and sulfur coming down and totally destroying those areas of the plain. Genesis 19, verses 24-25. Judgment by fire is regularly mentioned in Scripture, Deuteronomy 32:22, Psalm 11:5-6, Isaiah 30 verse 27, and the last chapter of the prophet Malachi. Malachi 4 and verse 1 says this: "The day is coming, it will burn like a furnace, and all the arrogant and every evil doer will be stubble. And that day is coming, and it will set them on fire, and it will leave them neither root nor branch." Malachi 4:1. So that's the news from the Old Testament. What's going to happen in the New Testament? Well, did Jesus condemn all that? No, he didn't. He reinforced it. He said in Luke 12 and verse 49, "I have come to cast fire on the earth. I wish it was already burning," he said, Luke 12:49. But the big teaching is in Peter's letter. Peter said this in 2 Peter. People conveniently overlook that the heavens and the earth were created by God. It's his place. He destroyed the world with a tremendous flood, and now the heavens and the earth are reserved for fire, being kept for judgment day. 2 Peter 3:5-7 from the Passion. And that day will come as a thief in the night. The atmosphere will be set on fire and vanish with a horrific roar, and heavenly bodies will melt in a tremendous blaze. Since all these things are in the process of being dismantled, don't you see how important it is to live a holy life? Now, that's in 2 Peter 3:10-13. The text is there below the video. But you may ask, well, why is all this judgment of fire coming to the world? Well, the answer is the same reason it came on Sodom and Gomorrah. The people were sacrificing babies to their gods, kids and babies. Men were engaged in sex with prostitutes, both male and female. And in Ezekiel we find that the people of those towns were arrogant. They had abundance of food, but did not help the poor and needy. So when God's angels arrived in town, they wanted to rape them, and they rejected God's attempt to correct them. In our modern world, the number of abortions is still going up, and God hates it. He is going to judge it. And the Bible speaks in Revelation, the first trumpet that's going to be sounding, the trumpet judgments. The first angel sounds his trumpet, and hail and fire was hurled down on the earth. And a third of the trees, watch out you tree huggers, a third of the trees are going to be burned down, and all the green grass. So save the planet. It's God's planet. He decides what happens. Now, when and how exactly are all these things going to happen? Is it going to happen because of nuclear war and so on? Well, there's one thing we can be sure. When he flooded the ancient world, he spared Noah. When fire fell on Sodom, he spared Lot. And as Peter clearly says, just as Noah and Lot were saved, the Lord knows how to rescue God-fearing men from trials and keep the unrighteous for judgment, for punishment until the day of judgment. It's the unrighteous that are going to get the judgment and punishment, not the God-fearing ones. He knows how to rescue us. That's 2 Peter 2, 6-9. All this terrible judgment happens before, on the day of in tribulation, on the day of the Lord. But before that, good news, folks, before that is the rapture. And in 1 Thessalonians 4, we hear this, the sound of an angel's trumpet, archangel's trumpet. The righteous will be caught up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. That's 1 Thessalonians 4, 16 and 17. Why? Next chapter, 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 9. God has not appointed us to his wrath. Now, the Apostle Paul's words were confirmed by Jesus himself. In Matthew 24, the Son of Man will come with power in the clouds of heaven. He will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from one end of the heaven to the other. That's Matthew 24, 30, 31. Keep listening for that trumpet. As strangers and pilgrims in this world, we will not be judged by God's fire. God uses fire as judgment, but we will not be judged by God's fire. So our focus, as Peter says, is to live holy lives, realizing that all this, this house, beautiful house I've got here, it's going to be burnt by fire. And the grass, as I attempt to grow, it's going to be burnt by fire. The trees, a third of them are going to be burnt by fire. But I won't be burnt by fire. And if you're a believer and you love God and follow him and live holy, you will not be consumed by his fire. You'll be consumed by his love as we tell others the amazing news of salvation and escape from the judgment of fire.